What's up, friends? Welcome into a Tuesday edition of Rock Chalk Sports here on Kansas Nation. Live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Thanks as well for everybody listening over on ESPN Kansas City with our technical director, Elijah Schmidt. I'm Sean Kellerman. Dan Courtwright is out, of course, on his honeymoon, so I'll be rolling you through the show today. We are going to be joined by couple special guests via Zoom. We're going to have David Lesky inside the Crown. Next segment, he'll be on to touch on Royals baseball. The Royals had a 5-2 road trip. Record's not good at 27-39, but last time we talked to David, we talked about how this is the opportunity for the Royals to win some games, and it wasn't pretty, but they got it done in Cincinnati and in Minnesota, and now they head home. They get 3 with the Rangers beginning tonight, so Lesky will catch us up to date on everything going on that front. Also going to have Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network, in studio. He will come on after Lesky, and Nick's going to recap the season that was for KU baseball. Of course, the Jayhawks saw their season end in the Super Regional here in Lawrence, dropping 2 games to Oklahoma, an ugly couple games, losing 8-1 and 13-2. The Hawks 2 wins away from the College World Series. They'll look to regroup, and of course, there will be some roster turnover with a lot of guys out of eligibility. We know there will be some news with transfers in, transfers out, as is always the case in today's day and age of college athletics, but a fantastic season, and Nick will talk about that. Also, Kansas football, which we're going to get into here in the opening segment. KU, over the weekend, last couple days, 3 days maybe, Hawks have brought in 7 new players in the class of 2027. We'll get Nick's thoughts on that, and want to shout out Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com as well. He's got great articles up on KUSports.com of everything up to date in terms of Kansas football recruiting. We'll let you know some of the numbers, some of the interesting tidbits about these players that Kansas will be bringing in for 2027. And again, Nick Springer will give his thoughts as well. Nick is going to stick around. We're going to do a special segment here on this Tuesday. It's a Top 12 Tuesday. That's right. Top 12 Tuesday. No, Dan, I can actually have this be my own segment. So I'm going to change it a little bit, right? So you had 10. We're adding 2. We're making it a Top 12 Tuesday. I'm going to give, in honor of Dan being out on vacation and me dreaming of my vacation days to come in the future, one of my upcoming trips will be to the lake of the Ozarks, which we go to every summer in the old Kellerman household. It's been a tradition for quite some time. Go to a little cabin scenario. It's called a resort. I don't know that I would go that far. It's a bunch of cabins over at the Sunset Inn. Shout out, by the way, if anybody has been. We go there and just have a great time. It's not exactly Cancun, not as hoity-toity as Dan Courtwright, but I'm going to give my top 12 things about going to the lake, or as my 3-year-old daughter says, the summer. She said going to the summer last year because last year when she was 2, she didn't differentiate the fact that we weren't actually going to the summer. The summer was the season that we were going on a vacation. So now everybody calls it going to the summer. My mom had shirts made. It was a whole cute thing with my daughter and their cousins, and now my 6-month-old daughter will get a chance to go to the summer for her first time. So I'm going to give my top 12 things. My sister and I have always loved going to the Lake of the Ozarks, and there's a lot to like. Still going to have some honorable mentions, too. I could have gone further than 12, but I decided 12 seemed like the right number. Just different enough from my co-host. Then we're going to close out the show previewing the rest of the week. I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but we will have Greeny in studio as he joins us every Wednesday from KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal World. Also going to be joined by David Lawrence a little bit later in the week. We're talking KU football 2027, guys, here in the opening segment. We're talking 2026 Jayhawk football with DL on Thursday's show, as he'll break down offensively and defensively where this current Kansas roster is at. And we'll take a look at the schedule as well with David Lawrence. He was in a couple months ago for Haney and the Hawks. Get a chance, check it out. Haney and the Hawks. You can find it on YouTube or, of course, KansasNation.com. Most recent Haney and the Hawks episodes feature a couple KU baseball players you may have seen at the beginning of Rock Chalk Sports yesterday. Haney's episode with Bodie Ray and Augusto Mungarieta. He also had a separate episode with Tyson LeBlanc and Cade Baldridge. So check those out, KansasNation.com. And, of course, stay up to date, all things at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Kansas Nation on Facebook. YouTube as well, at the Kansas Nation. Find us, like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate all of that, and it helps us grow. So appreciate your support on that front. All right, let's get into this right away. KU football just scorching hot on the recruiting side of things for 2027, as I mentioned. Every single visitor over the weekend committed to KU. 7 visitors and all 7 committed, according to 24/7 Sports. And we're going to talk about these individuals, but the Hawks are now up to 16 commits in the class of 2027. Additions of Malik Brown, Nazir Pitchford, Clarence Johnson Jr., Tavares Powell, Elliot Neff, Quentin Dorsey, and Jay Williams. I'll run through them really quick, and then I'm going to reference that Greenstein article that I mentioned. But we'll kind of go sequentially here. Let's start with Malik Brown. He was the first to commit a couple days ago. 6'3", 185-pound wide receiver from Tyler, Texas. He chose Kansas over offers from teams like K-State, Baylor, Louisiana Tech, and Colorado State. So Terry Samuel gets Malik Brown into the wide receiver room at KU. Next up to commit to Kansas, Nazir Pitchford. He's a 6'1" cornerback, 175 pounds from Palmetto, Florida. Brandon Shelby did the recruiting of Nazir Pitchford. Of course, shout out to Oklahoma football and Rockhurst High School football. Brandon Shelby. Pitchford originally committed to K-State. Now he's come over to the good side. He'll be playing football for Kansas beginning in 2027. In addition to K-State, Pitchford had interest from programs like Pittsburgh, Boston College, and Louisville before deciding over the weekend to become a Jayhawk. You also love that all 7 of these guys that I'm going to go through were all visiting. They all committed. They were all here, as I said. You love that in terms of consistency, in terms of chemistry, in terms of culture. That's great news for this program. Next up, how about this? A 6'4", 225-pound edge rusher, Clarence Johnson Jr. Jim Panagos, Joe Deneen, recruitment for Clarence Johnson Jr. He chose Kansas over interest from teams like Northwestern, Auburn, Boston College, and Georgia Tech. He comes to KU by way of St. Paul, Minnesota. Another wide receiver recruited by Terry Samuel committed to Kansas after that. Tavares Powell, 6 foot, 170-pound wide receiver. Powell from Bradenton, Florida, commits to Kansas. He had interest from Wisconsin, Kentucky, Michigan State, and Mississippi State. Listen to some of these programs that KU is getting players from, and we'll hear some of the things that they said when I roll off some of the things in Henry's article, but the new facilities, they matter. The culture, the coaching staff, it matters. Kansas football, despite the fact that they're coming off back-to-back 5 and 7 seasons, they're here to stay, and they're proving that recruiting not only for 25, but 26, 27, getting talent here into Lawrence. After the wide receiver Powell, the next to commit was someone who's listed either as an athlete or a linebacker, depending on where you look, but 24/7 Sports has him as an athlete, 6'3", 200-pounder Elliot Neff from Middleville, Michigan. He chose Kansas. He had interest from Penn State, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, and Eastern Michigan. Chris Simpson, KU's linebacker coach, doing the recruiting for Elliot Neff. And again, good size at 6'3", 200, listed as an athlete. We'll see where he fits in here at KU. Next up for the Jayhawks, a 6'3.5" defensive lineman, 240 pounds from Aurora, Colorado, Quentin Dorsey. Dorsey was, we thought, going to be the last commit for Kansas before this next guy I mentioned decided to make it a clean 7 out of 7. But Jim Panagos leading the recruitment for Dorsey. He chose Kansas over programs like Fresno State, Iowa State, Oregon State, and New Mexico. Quentin Dorsey, a 6'3.5" defensive lineman. And then most recently, another wide receiver for the Jayhawks. The third wideout of the 7 commits for KU. Great size, 6'5", 190-pounder from Long Beach, California, Jay Williams. Yes, there's a lot of Jay Williams out there. This is the guy who's heading to the River City. He chose Kansas over interest from programs like Arizona, Oregon State, Syracuse, and Hawaii. 3 wide receivers in the 7 commits for Kansas, and really can't say enough about what the Jayhawks have done. Before we get into some more nuts and bolts about these guys and break it down, 16, as I said, is now the number for the Jayhawks already in 2027. That's fantastic. KU in 2026, 19 enrollees. And, of course, these guys are already on campus We've got a couple guys who are making their way and, of course, are going to be adjusting to college football in the fall, but some other guys who have been here in the spring. When you look at 2026 class, guys like Jalen Mason, he's been out there. Nate Sims has been on campus. Josh Galbraith, of course. So many guys, Hunter Higgins, that have already had a chance to experience the KU program, even though there haven't been any games, and all sorts of other players who didn't make it in the spring, but they're going to be here very soon, and they're going to be impactful in this Jayhawk program. Some in 2026, this upcoming season that starts on September 4th, and some moving forward. So 2026 had 19 enrollees, 16 hard commits in 2027 when you include the 7 additions that Kansas football had over the weekend. Let's go through those in full. Mason Oglesby, that was a guy who committed from the tight end position about a week and a half ago. People are really high on him. Where can he fit in terms of the Andy Kotelnicki offense and the fact that Kansas has been looking for that guy to kind of fill the tight end void? Oglesby, a guy who in a couple years, he could be a major impact player for Kansas. Of course, KU this upcoming season will rely heavily on guys like Carson Broom. After Oglesby, when you look up and down in terms of how they're ranked nationally on 24/7 Sports, it is one of the commits from this weekend, Clarence Johnson Jr., 6'4" edge. Again, great size for Johnson. After Johnson is Chance Thomas, the quarterback that Dan and I broke down. He committed back on May 11th. He's a guy who you're probably going to see starting some football games for Kansas at the quarterback position in a couple years. He comes from Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. One of the wide receivers, the highest ranked wide receiver in the 2027 class, according to 24/7 Sports for Kansas, is Dang Tong. He comes from Oak Park. He committed way back on March 12th. After that, in the list in terms of rankings for Kansas, and the majority of these guys are all 3 stars on 24/7 Sports, which again is something Kansas football didn't get for a long time. Now they're consistently bringing in 3, sometimes 4-star players. Braden Graves from Cypress, Texas. He's a 6'1" safety. He's next on the list. He committed about 3 weeks ago. Offensive tackle, 6'6" at offensive tackle, Derek Gonzalez from La Puente, California. He's a commit for Kansas in the class of 2027. And then we've got a bunch of guys that I just mentioned. Dorsey, the defensive lineman up front. Malik Brown, wide receiver, the first to commit over the weekend for KU. Nazir Pitchford came over from K-State. He's the 6'1" corner. Tavares Powell, the 6'0" wide receiver from Bradenton, Florida. After that, Luke Gazinga, another tight end with a great name from Rancho Santa Margarita, California, 6'4", 232, and another tight end in the class of 2027. You probably remember Trey Stewart from early in May, a running back who had interest from teams like Arkansas. He comes from Little Rock, Arkansas. He's also on the list of commits for Kansas football in 2027. 6'7" offensive tackle Richie Dexter from Chandler, Arizona, also a 3-star. He's on the list, as is Nick Vikrumba, an interior offensive lineman, 6'4", 285. And then, as I said, Jay Williams, the most recent commit to Kansas football over the weekend, 6'5", 190. Before Elliot Neff, again listed either as an athlete or a linebacker, is on this list as well. 6'3", 200 from Middleville, Michigan. No stars on 24/7 Sports. Currently next to Elliot Neff. A lot of times you see that when a guy is listed as an athlete, can't compare him appropriately to any other position groups. But that's 16 players already that Kansas has in the class of 2027. And again, really cannot say enough about KU bringing in 7 guys for visits over the weekend, and all 7 have commit. That is absolutely fantastic for this program. Going to go back and reference Henry's article from KUSports.com. He's got a couple different articles up there, but sort of recapping the weekend that was before the most recent commit, wide receiver Jay Williams committed to Kansas. The Hawks got 6 commitments in the Saturday-Sunday time frame. It was wide receiver Malik Brown kicking things off. We'll start with him. Again, 6'3". Brown, a guy who completely, I think everybody thought Kansas had a great shot, but he made it known immediately that he was going to be committing to KU. That kind of gets the ball rolling on this whole thing. Pitchford, the next to commit, again, he was K-State's first commitment in the 2027 class before he backed out last month. chose KU. He plays both ways at Palmetto High School in Florida. He had 6 tackles and a pass breakup on defense. And then on offense, 22 catches for 344 yards and 7 touchdowns. He had visited Pittsburgh before coming to KU. Also had interest, as I said, from Boston College and North Carolina. And Pitchford ends up choosing the Jayhawks. He credited KU for having a strong culture for developing players and for players succeeding both on and off the field. A huge get for Kansas. As I said, the guy who's now ranked second in their 16-team 2027 class is the defensive end, C.J. Johnson, the edge rusher. Composite 4-star prospect, according to many sources. Again, great size at 6'4", 225. He also received interest from Missouri, who swings and misses on this one. Alan True of Rivals wrote the following regarding the edge rusher Johnson. Has quickness off the ball and can win with a straight speed rush, but also has a spin move. Also has the agility to make offensive tackles overset and beat them inside. Has to still get stronger and improve with his hands when engaged. Also has room to improve of top-end speed and testing. Has some experience dropping into coverage, but will need continued reps there, end quote. Powell, the wide receiver, joins Malik Brown and Deng Tong among wideouts. And again, it was later on that Jay Williams would also commit. There are 3 scholarship seniors on the roster right now for KU, and Nazay Cox, Nick McMillian, and Cam Pickett. So there's going to be some openings for the Jayhawks in future years at the wideout spot. TJ Powell is his nickname, Tavares Powell. As a junior, this past season, he caught 42 passes, 488 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Powell told John Kirby of Jayhawk Slant, "I love the program they have at Kansas. I feel I'd be a good addition to what they're building." End quote. He said Coach Terry Samuel told him the real story. He has to go in there and work, and he sees him playing early. Again, Powell, who happens to be Pitchford's cousin, by the way, picked KU over programs like Wisconsin. Mentioned Neff, the athlete linebacker hybrid. That came quickly. He had official offers from Penn State, Pitt, and Syracuse, but Chris Simpson, KU's linebackers coach, lures him into KU. And then another great size on the defensive line player, Quentin Dorsey, 6'4", 240 pounds. He had 54 tackles, according to Max Preps, including 13 TFLs last year. Iowa State wanted him. Oregon State wanted him. He comes to KU. Dorsey said to John Kirby of Jayhawk Slant, quote, "It's one of those things now that I've decided on where I want to be. I can't wait to be there. I still have my senior season left, so it's going to be a wait, but I'm excited and I can't wait." And then again, most recently is the wideout, Jay Williams, the 4th wide receiver of the 16-player 2027 recruiting class for Kansas football. It was just yesterday that the 6'5" Williams from California announced he is coming to Kansas. In 10 games as a junior, he caught 29 passes, 615 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Williams told Kirby, quote, "What stood out to me on the visit was how I felt wanted. It was my birthday weekend as well, and they made me feel like family before even committing. Also, the top-of-the-line facilities had a lot to do with it as well," end quote. Again, 4th wide receiver to go along with Tong, Brown, and Powell in joining this wide receiver group. And we'll have to see how it shakes out. But, yeah, the senior trio, like I said, that Kansas has of Cox, McMillan, and Pickett will be moving on. So 4 wide receivers coming in. We'll see how everything shakes out. But Williams said he's very excited to have an opportunity to be a Jayhawk. You love having a lot of talent in that room. Do a little bit of a search right now on the Big 12 football rankings in terms of freshman recruiting with the addition of Jay Williams, see where Kansas is at on that front. But you can't say enough about the fantastic weekend that was in KU, batting 1,000 and going 7 for 7. Now, it's early, so maybe don't get too excited, but maybe go ahead and get excited because in the 16-team conference, 2027 football recruiting, according to 24/7 Sports, Kansas is 4th, trailing only Texas Tech, Houston, and West Virginia. The 16 Jayhawks coming in, which includes a pair of 4-stars. If you want to count Oglesby as a 4-star, again, stars are kind of one of those things that it depends where you watch. But when you list it out individually, there are 3 stars in Oglesby and Johnson, but listed out as a team, those 2 are counting as 4 stars. 13 3-stars as well. Kansas football, 4th in the 16-team conference in terms of 2027 recruiting. That is fantastic to see as they move their number from 9 guys committed up to 16. Now, when you compare that to 2026, the current guys that Kansas has, and we understand that there's a lot to be written, and we talk about this because that's what we do on sports talk shows. But 2026, Kansas football, we're really excited about a lot of the players. They're 13th in the Big 12. There's going to be some adjustments. Maybe Kansas will go up a little bit. Maybe they'll go down a little bit. But 13th in the 16-team conference for 2026 incoming freshmen. 4th in the 16-team conference 2027. That maybe shows you a little bit on how big that weekend was for Jayhawk football looking ahead to the future. So we have a lot to get to regarding that because I want to talk to all of our guests this week. Of course, Greenstein will be in studio tomorrow, and he'll give his take in addition to the great reporting he did in those articles that I referenced on all these guys and getting their quotes. Shout out to John Kirby of Jayhawk Slant and all the great work that he does there on Rivals. But we're really excited about a lot of these guys in 2026. Now we can be excited about the 2027 class as well. If you need a refresher on some of the names to know in 2026, aside from some of the guys I gave earlier, like Josh Galbraith, the pride of Lawrence High, like Hunter Higgins from Wichita, an edge rusher. Don't forget Corey Amakri, a running back that a lot of the coaches were talking about. He could play as a true freshman for KU. He's got good size and is really, really impressing. Naquane Carter, defensive lineman, that's a name to know. And then a couple of tight ends that you might hear a lot about in coming years as well. Kevin Sullivan from Rockhurst and Jack Oots from Platte County. Those guys are going to be important to this KU offense moving forward. Some guys that I think are going to be big play capability guys in this upcoming class in their future at Kansas. Wide receivers, Corbin Glasgow, who Terry Samuel says is a flash, and Tyron Parker as well from Shawnee Heights. He's a guy who's going to make an impact as well. And, of course, quarterback Jalen Mason, a guy who's going to be competing for a starting role at some point during his Kansas career. So a lot to be excited about regarding the future of Jayhawk football. Hey, we've got a lot to get to. We're talking Jayhawk football. When Nick Springer joins us, we're going to talk Jayhawk baseball, perhaps basketball even more. We've got a Top 12 Tuesday coming up. But after this, we are going to go to Zoom, and we're going to be joined by David Lesky from Inside the Crown to catch us up on the Royals, who had a very successful road trip. And like I said, despite the fact that the record is ugly, they very much can still be in the conversation for the postseason. Just 5.5 back with all sorts of baseball to go of a wild card spot in the American League. So more coming up right here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Welcome back. We're on Zoom now, joined by David Lesky from Inside the Crown to talk a little Royals baseball. David, appreciate you coming on with us as you do every Tuesday. Well, every Tuesday that we can piece together.
Most Tuesdays.
With busy schedules, yeah, most Tuesdays. We'll go with that. I feel kind of weird right now, Royals baseball. We should be talking about what was, a very successful road trip from a win-loss standpoint. Anytime you go on the road, you win 5 of 7. That's great, and that's what we were hoping for last time we talked. Hey, let's talk about more wins. It wasn't particularly pretty. It wasn't particularly healthy. So the Royals are 12 under 500, bad, but they're only 5.5 back in the wild card. That's good. They've just dealt with a lot of injuries. Before we talk about the injuries, and maybe you could touch on each of those guys individually, I mean, a good road trip, I guess. Do you feel good? You won games.
Well, I mean, obviously it started off 0-3, so the 5-2 is really 5-5. It's easy to forget that, but also
that's true. That's true.
We talked about sequencing, right? And you'd rather be 0-3 and then 5-2 than 5-2 and then 0-3. I think, right? I mean, that's
yeah.
You'd rather be coming off the good than starting with the good, I guess. Yeah, it was a good run through Cincinnati and Minneapolis. Minneapolis, Minnesota, that's a team they've struggled with on the road in the last few years. So I believe that was their first road series win there since 2021. Is that right? Did I see that? I need to look that up to verify, but we can go with it. It's fine.
Yeah,
nobody's going to fact check that. Come on. So that was a good thing. You're right. It wasn't always pretty. The win on Monday was pretty, but we talked about that last week. We already got to that. So
yeah. I think that's where we started. I think we we chatted about that last week, and then it was like,
Mhm.
okay, how can we do the rest of this trip? And
Yeah,
4-2 since we
yeah,
last talked. We'll go with that.
and look, they, the one of the two games they lost was a blown save, which led to a change that has been positive for the Royals over the last five, 6 games. So, I think all in all, things are trending in a positive direction. It's just that when things are so poor up until that point, 7 games isn't enough. 6 games isn't whatever it is. It's just not enough to say I buy it. I don't know what will be enough, but all of that said, you're right. They're 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. The third wild card is currently held by the team they're playing this week, so they have a chance to make up some ground. It's too early to really watch those standings, but and that team they're chasing is 32 and 33. This is the fact that the Royals are vaguely in the race is as much of a product of the American League as it is them. Well, actually, it's more the American League. They're 27 and 39. I do think it's interesting that there is this mindset that, oh, Detroit's getting healthy. They're ready to rock. Well, they're 27 and 39 also. The Royals are also kind of starting to maybe get healthy. Maybe. We'll see. And they're 27 and 39. These are the two teams that everybody thought were the two best teams in the division. I have a hard time looking at the Guardians and saying, yes, that team with the -1 run differential is
Right.
going to go places. Now, their offense is better than we expected. I don't buy the White Sox either. I buy them. I buy them as a much improved team. I don't think you're going to get to the end of the year and have them at 86 wins. I just don't. And I think that's what they're on pace for: 34 and 31, roughly 80, 85 wins, something like that. I just don't see it. So there's an opportunity, but because of the hole they dug, they can't do it again. And so they've got to go into this week against Texas and Houston and say, okay, we're going to win 4 of 6. And they got to go to Washington, a better than expected team. What are they sitting right at 500? I think no, they're a game over. They're 34 and 33.
Yeah,
Their
comeback win in the
pitching
ninth
is
last night.
that's right. That's right. Their pitching is horrendous.
Mhm.
Their offense is fantastic. You got to go into that series and say, look, we're gonna show you who you were supposed to be and who we were supposed to be, and take 2 of 3. And then you come home. Who is that after that? It's
Tampa, or no, not Tampa yet.
no, I had it and I lost it.
Cardinals.
Yeah. Then it's the same thing against the Cardinals, who are playing better than we're expected. And you've got to say, this is who we were supposed to be, this is who you were supposed to be, and take 2 of 3. And you've got to be 8 and 4 at the end of this 12-game stretch, because then it gets tough, because then it's Tampa. Then it's you go to Chicago to play the White Sox, who again are better than we thought, and swept the Royals in Chicago earlier this year, last month, at whatever point that was. And then they come home to play Tampa and Philadelphia, who have rallied, gotten off some wins. It's these next 12 games are just, if you think the Royals have any chance to contend, we're going to know a lot more after these next 12 games, because if they go 6-6, I think it's over. If they go 8-4, they still have a chance. If they go 10-2, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
But there's a lot on the line here.
Yeah, it's amazing the difference a win and a loss makes in the record. I mean, I know that sounds like the most obvious thing ever, but if the Royals had gone 2-4 since we last talked and not 4-2, then we'd be even further in the dumps right now. But I'm kind of going back to what you said last week, which was 25 of 37, and if the
Mm-hmm.
Royals keep up the pace that they did, then that's doable. And that's asking a lot against some of those teams. But like you said, this next 12 games or so, 2 weeks of real time is going to be indicative. Couple pitching questions I want to ask you before we get to the injuries. First, you touched on it briefly, but the change at the back of the bullpen, it's interesting. The local kid, Alex Lang, he's not the most swing and miss pitch there ever was. You feel like he's got a little bit of that personality to be able to close games down, but he can get hit hard at times. Didn't pitch Sunday. I believe he was unavailable, if I'm not mistaken. And the Royals went to some guys who don't have a lot of end of game experience. Urseg came in, and again, we almost blew it again, but survived and won 6-5. Do you have any comfort level at the end of games right now?
No,
Yeah.
I will say, I mentioned this. I think it was, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago. You got to go with the hot hand. And right now, Alex Lang is the hot hand. He's got 7 strikeouts in 4 innings in June. Great. And go until he's not good. And to be fair about Alex Lang, and I wonder a little bit if maybe I didn't give enough weight to this, but he he was hurt last year. He pitched in the minors last year. I mean, there were some issues last year. Maybe we didn't give him enough time to reacclimate to this role, because he gave up 5 runs, 4 earned in an inning against Baltimore. That was the game that they left all those guys on base, and Urseg blew it in the ninth. It was 1-0. Ended up being the 7-5 final.
Yeah.
Since then, he has pitched 19 games, 19 and a third innings with a 1.86 ERA. And if you go even, he had a couple games in a row where he gave up a run in early May. If you go to, and this is arbitrary endpoints, but if you go to his last 12 games, 12 innings, 0.75 ERA, 11 strikeouts, 3 walks. I don't know that you can expect that to continue. And I'm not saying, oh, this is the guy he's going to be moving forward. He's never really been that guy. But you don't really have a choice but to say, who is the hot hand? And right now it's him. And so I feel comfortable about that. I do. I want to touch really quick because I feel like there's a misconception. So Sunday's game, 6-1, Beckway comes in. I saw so many people. Why didn't they take him out after 3 batters? Here's why. 6-1 game. It's a 5-run lead. Beckway walks the guy on 4 pitches. He gives up a single to Austin Martin on the 5th pitch of that at bat. From my understanding, they called down to the bullpen after the 3rd pitch of that at bat. So a 5-run lead, 1 walk, and that's it so far, and a 2-1 count, and they called down to the bullpen to get somebody ready. That's urgency. It takes time. Pitchers can't just be ready.
And you can't use every pitcher in every game, which you can't people don't understand.
Not only that, but you can't just say, we need you right now, be ready. No, because that's the recipe to get guys hurt. And so 2 pitches later, a single. 2 pitches later, a home run. 2 pitches later, an out. 2 pitches later, a bloop single. 8 pitches. That's why he didn't come out. And I will also say, from what my understanding, I think it was Urseg because he had stretched earlier in the game, so he was able to get ready quicker. Lang was he threw 28 pitches the day before, because to your question, none of his saves have been easy. No. He has put at least 2 guys on in all 3 of them. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. He's gotten it done. Let's hope he does that again. But I think it's important to understand how a bullpen works. And why didn't he get him out? Well, because it was a 5-run game, and it would have been irresponsible to have somebody warming up right behind him.
Yeah. There's a world where the Royals are a good baseball team, but some of the things we're talking about are not indicative of a good baseball team, which just bums me out right now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where we're at. And again, it's a long season. That doesn't mean the Royals won't be a good team. We've seen these guys on this roster be a good team. But that's where we're at right now. David Lesky, Inside the Crown, joining us. The next pitching question I wanted to ask you about was Noah Cameron, because we haven't talked a lot about him. He was better than anybody expected last year. I'm not going to lie. I was very, very concerned at the beginning of the season because he's not an overpowering guy. But you look, David, and not only has he gotten his ERA down to 3.84, he's only given up 1 homer, which I always was concerned was going to be a kryptonite for Cameron. He's only given up 1 homer since that Yankees loss back on April 18th. And he's just thrown 1 quality start after another. 5 consecutive quality starts. He's given up no runs, 1 run, 2 runs, and no runs in his last 4 outings. He's back to being that dependable guy that we saw in 2025.
Yeah, and let's go back to May 6th or May 10th against the Tigers. That was Mother's Day. He gave up 3 runs on 4 hits in 4 innings with 3 walks. That was the day. I don't remember when the story came out. It was 2 days later, 3 days later. It was before his next start that, hey, his arm slot's a little bit off. And I think what they did, a lot of guys try to lower their arm slot a little bit to get a little more movement and a little more swing and miss. Now, I think it worked because he had gotten more strikeouts at that point. I mean, if you look to that game through May 10th, his first 7 starts, he'd struck out 32 and 35 in 2/3 innings. That's above his rate from last season. But they did a little tinkering, and he had a pretty good start against the Cardinals. 3 runs, 5 hits, 6 innings. Didn't walk anybody, and that the walks were a big issue for him because he'd walked at least 1 batter in every game, but he'd walked 3-2, 3-2, 2, and wasn't giving innings. So 2 is actually not a low amount. since then, including that Cardinals start, you're looking at 5 starts, 30 innings, 17 hits, 180 ERA, 31 strikeouts to 3 walks. And so he's kind of developed the best of both worlds because the arm slot's not all the way up to where it was in 2025. But he's still getting some swing and miss on his breaking ball. And the thing is, his fastball, you know, it's a new era in pitching, obviously. And so a lot of guys will say, the old school is you lead with the fastball and everything plays off that. With Cameron, everything makes his fastball better because his off speed and his breaking balls are actually the pitch he gets swing and miss with. And so what we've seen is actually the fastball it's like a 17.5% whiff rate. I think I looked it up a couple of days ago and I think that's what it was in these last 5 starts, which is low but better than where he was before. But it's because his other pitches have played up so much. And so you start to look at this now, and he's a guy who he limits hits when he's right. I mean, we saw it. Think about his debut. He had no hitter into the 7th, I think, or 6th, whatever it was. He did walk 5 in that game, but his next few starts last year, it was 2 hits, 1 hit, 3 hits. I mean, this was a guy who was limiting hits. He's back to doing that, but he's also kept the swing and miss from the lowered arm slot. And I think what you're seeing now, I'm going to need more. It's like the 5-2 stretch. I'm not sold. I'm a lot more sold on Cameron than I am on the Royals being 5-2 in the last 7 games. But I do think that what they have now is they have a guy who the ceiling has risen a little bit. I think he went from the ceiling of a 4 to maybe the ceiling of a 3. And a guy who actually gets the ball in a playoff series, whereas previously he was a guy who was going to get you to the playoffs, but you probably wouldn't pitch. And so I think that there's been some evolution there that's been really positive for the Royals.
Well, let's talk about some guys who have ceilings of a 1, and Cole Ragans and Kris Bubic, and the slew of Royals who are injured right now. Any updates you can give us on those two? And then we got to know about Bobby Witt Jr. He doesn't miss games. He doesn't leave games early very often. Knee soreness caused him to leave the game on Sunday. Royals, evidently, according to an article on Andy Rogers that I saw, are optimistic that it's not serious, but you got Salvador Perez stuff. You got Jack Caglione stuff. Again, Cags has been great this year. People aren't talking about it. Maybe not great, but he's 22 years old. Like he's doing some things that you need to do as a young player.
Yeah.
Michael is back. That's good. We need everybody to start hitting, but the Royals pieced together some wins without some of these guys. What can you tell us about their status?
Yeah. So Bubic is starting tonight in Omaha on a rehab assignment. He has been out. When did he last pitch? Was that? I'm trying to think how many rehab starts they might give him. I mean, because the thought with Cole Ragans when he went on his rehab assignment was he's going to pitch once, and if he feels good, he's coming back. Bubic's last pitch May 14th. It's June 9th. I would guess that it might just be 2. I could see him going today and Sunday, and then them making a decision on him after that. Maybe it's 3. I don't. We'll see. But so he's pitching. He's going on a rehab assignment. We are now to the point where, okay, let's monitor how he feels because he could be back at any time once he pitches today.
Man, he's only given up 36 hits in 50 innings. 26 walks is no good, but yeah, his stuff, it's tough to hit.
The stuff plays. 51 strikeouts, and a strikeout per inning. The walks have been surprising because he's generally got such good control. I guess we'll see how it goes and how much was this injury impacting him. Ragans, I don't know. From my understanding, he hasn't even thrown a bullpen yet because he went on that rehab assignment, made the start, looked good, said he felt good after, but the next day didn't respond well. So they shut him down for a week, 10 days. And he's been throwing since, but not into a bullpen. So there's no timetable, in my opinion, for that. That doesn't mean, look, he could throw a bullpen today and be on track. As for the rest, Carlos Estevez, he's throwing again. So there's that. I think that's everybody on the pitching staff, right? Did I miss somebody? I don't think I did.
I don't believe I missed anybody.
But then, Salvador Perez had a thumb issue, right? He had a broken nail from the wild pitch that hit him on whatever day it was in Minnesota. Sat for a couple days. I think he's it's Salvador Perez. So even if he's not fine, he's going to play and he's going to suffer for it, and we're going to suffer for watching it.
He doesn't need a
The
mental day, right?
he sure doesn't. Might need some physical days, but I Caglione, from my understanding, he was available off the bench on Sunday, so I would not be surprised to see him in there. I can't remember. Mackenzie Gore starts this series. I think it's tomorrow. So I do wonder, maybe you see him sit 2 more days and you say you get him out there, get him off against a lefty, and then he gets back in there. But I could see him tonight. We'll find out soon. And then Witt, you know, the words they used, they didn't seem concerned. I will tell you, I have no inside knowledge here, but a knee injury, like knee soreness and stiffness that comes from nothing, that scares me a little
That's
bit.
not
That
good.
it's like, why? Like, if you hurt your knee because you twisted it, okay, you did something. Something about not doing anything in particular, but it hurting is a little bit concerning for a guy who's, I mean, he has value in every facet of the game, but his legs are a big part of his value. So that's a little bit concerning. They don't seem to be concerned. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I bet we'll see him in the lineup tonight too.
Have they? That would be great. I mean, have they said anything that you know of specifically regarding? Because like if it's a knee bruise, that'd be great. But if it's like the MCL meniscus area, that's concerning.
They just said it was sore.
Okay.
And I think about, like, I get sore, but I'm also a lot older and maybe a little bit in not quite as good a shape as Bobby Witt Jr. We'll say we can
I
we
don't
can
have
go
your
with that.
baseball card currently.
No, you don't. So it's I- I don't know. It worries me. But just general soreness, I think. And look, they're out there every day playing hard. Bobby Witt Jr. in particular is one of the hardest players in baseball. So I think that it's one of those things that you got to take him at face value. If he's in the lineup tonight, I'm not worried at all. If he's not, I'm going to start to say, well, what's going on here?
Yeah. No, I think tonight's lineup will be one that probably you're locked in as much as any throughout this season, right? Because you got three
Yeah,
guys that you just listed that you don't know if they're in. And you know, you feel good about the off day yesterday. I love a win before an off day. I'd absolutely loathe a loss before an off day. And the fact that the Royals almost gave up 5 runs in the ninth against the Twins would have been disaster. But you know, vibes are okay. Hopefully a couple days. Maybe get two of those guys in the lineup, get Bobby back, and we'll feel good. This Rangers series, like you said, the Royals did not play well at Globe Life Field. You know, you had the disaster with Urseg in the one game that you felt like they could have won. I know the Royals, say what you will about them, aren't fantastic offensively. They haven't been good this season, but the Rangers aren't great either. And they're a beatable team. That's the bottom line. Now, you got Nasty Nate going tonight. Uvalde, you mentioned you'll see Gore at some point in the series. Don't really know what you're going to get out of him any given night. But your thoughts on this upcoming series, and I guess holistically, going back to what you said, the importance of this next stretch.
yeah. I mean, look, the Rangers teams look at the Royals as their get right team right now, which is fair. The Rangers, while they're playing well, they're a mediocre team. I mean, if I'm gonna say the same thing I said about the Nationals and Cardinals. If you go back to the start of the season, the Royals need to what the Royals need to do this series is be the team they were supposed to be and beat the team they would have supposed to be. I don't even know how to say that against the Rangers this week, because the March 26th line on this series would have been Royals as favorites in all three games in
Yeah.
all likelihood. And I haven't looked at the betting line for this, but I would imagine they're not. And so I think that this is a team that the Royals can beat. I don't want to say should, because I don't think there's any team that a 27-39 team should beat. Um, but I mean, they do seem to, they're very streaky, and they seem to be kind of getting some things going. And one of the things that I thought the broadcast overdid this over the weekend, but it's also true. They played a much more complimentary game offensively, all weekend really. And Carter Jensen's sacrifice fly on Saturday was, we get one before we get five. Like, you just
Right.
can't get five and all that. And it happened again, I thought, on Sunday before the Marte 3-run homer. It happened again from Jensen in the eighth inning. Hey, let's just make sure we get a run here. And it was huge. Oh, you don't want it to be huge in a game that you're leading by that much, but it was. And so I think that there is some good to build on, and so I think they're playing better baseball than they were a week and a half ago. Um, this is they and they're at home. And again, I'm not going to say they should win this series, but they can win this series, and they need to, because they're, like we said earlier, they dug such a big hole. They don't really have there's no potholes that they can find anymore. They have to avoid all of them.
Totally. And like you said, you wouldn't have looked at the beginning of the season and, seen the White Sox later this month as a team that threatens you. But now you look at that stretch later, you got Rays, White Sox, Rays. I mean, those are two of the, 5 teams over 500 in the American
Mm-hmm.
League. So,
Yep.
so that on paper is a tough stretch. You got to take advantage of these other kind of
And
middling
then
teams too.
and then Phillies right after that. They're 35-30. What was their record? Do you remember?
I think they were 9-19.
I can't remember if it was 19 or 20. I know it was 9 and something. I can't remember if it was 19 or 20, but actually they're 36-30. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it was 9-19, I'm gonna look really fast, but that's 27-11. Yeah, you're right. It was 9-19.
We were actually kind of bummed about that because Rob Thompson's a KU guy.
Right.
And, went to the World Series with them, but man, that was the right move, I guess, because they're.
But he got to be with the team at the regionals and super regionals. So
that's
there you
true.
go.
That's true. That did happen. So we got to see him here on campus, but yeah,
maybe that's why. Maybe he got fired on purpose.
Yeah, I think so. I think he could sense it here at Lawrence. But David Lesky, he does great work covering Royals baseball. InsideTheCrown.substack.com. Over 5,000 subscribers. Give him a subscription. Keep up to date. Let's make it a fun summer. Still got a lot of time to do that. Starts with the Rangers and hopefully a great outing from Stephen Kolek tonight. David, really appreciate the time as always. We'll chat with you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sean.
Of course. More coming up here on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Central Bank and Sporting Kansas City are bringing their Soccer Capital of America pop-up shops to communities across the metro. Stop by select Central Bank locations for discounts on official tournament merchandise, soccer games, giveaways, and the chance to get the limited edition Soccer Capital of America debit card. This Friday's pop-up shop is at Central Bank's West 6th branch in Lawrence, Kansas from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You can view the full schedule of pop-up shops and get your Soccer Capital of America debit card by visiting soccercapitalkc.com. More soccer, more spirit, only at Central Bank, member FDIC. All right, we got a few more minutes here on ESPN Kansas City, and then if you're enjoying the show or not enjoying the show, either way, please join us on KansasNation.com, live on Facebook, live on YouTube for the remainder of the show. We're going to have Nick Springer breakdown. We're going to have a Top 12 Tuesday. That's right, Dan, you can shove it. Stay in Cancun. I'm changing top 10 to top 12. So you stay down there and, let me, he's going to listen to the show. I know. It's a top 12 Tuesday. That's what it is. We are going to right now bring on Nick Springer from the Kansas City Sports Network. I couldn't narrow it down. So I'm going to have you stick around for that segment.
Okay.
Because it's a passionate segment of mine regarding the Lake of the Ozark trips that I take every summer. So,
Great.
So yeah, he being.
I've got a special surprise for you when we get to that segment.
Oh God.
Well, not
Dan,
really. It's not really a surprise, but
Dan being on vacation made me think of one of my trips a little bit down the line this summer. So excited for that. But yeah, Nick will be on the majority of the rest of the show. So again, flip on over after this segment if you're listening on ESPN Kansas City to KansasNation.com. Nick, as we wrap up here, I want to ask you a little Chiefs question before we bring you back and talk KU baseball, KU football as well.
Sure.
This has kind of been in the works, and I mentioned it at the end of the show yesterday, but a big move for the Chiefs. They're bringing back L'Jarius Sneed, and you work as well for the Chiefs radio network with game day coverage. The Chiefs traded up to get Mansour Delane after trading away Trent McDuffie. I think there were probably still some question marks. One, because Delane's a rookie, even though people say he's the best corner in the draft. That's certainly how the Chiefs felt. Does this make you feel a lot better about the secondary? Because Sneed was fantastic during his first tenure.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sneed's obviously had a long injury history. Honestly, my biggest takeaway from this is, man, do they really not have that much confidence in Noel Williams? Like, you drafted Noel Williams in the 3rd round last year. He got to play intermittently last season. And with the McDuffie move, I thought, okay, maybe there is a lot of confidence in Noel Williams that he can be a starter. And by the way, you still have oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name. You still have
Fulton.
the guy from you still have Christian Fulton.
Yeah.
So it's like now you've drafted Mansour Delane. do you really not have that much confidence in the combination of Fulton and Williams? Because Delane obviously is going to be your starter on one side.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it'd be ridiculous if you drafted him 6 and he wasn't.
Yeah.
So okay, he's going to be your starter on one side. That still leaves you with then Fulton and Williams, and this L'Jarius Sneed signing, like,
is that not a half empty outlook though? Because if you're looking half full, oh my God, look at all the depth we have at corner.
Well, they need it. It's going to take 80 years to get a pass rush. They have no pass rush. This goes back to our conversation we had before after the draft.
That was all you wanted, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a sentiment of like getting the band back together, and it's like, okay, like sick, but L'Jarius Sneed is now 3 years removed from that great year he had or whatever.
It did work out.
He's got more injuries, and like he didn't even hardly play for the Titans.
It did work out. That
if I'm a Titans fan, I'm pissed.
The Chiefs were able to get him off his rookie deal, you know.
Right.
And
no,
bring him back.
It worked out great for the Chiefs.
Yeah, financially. So there's that.
First of all, if I'm a Titans fan, well, I'm just pissed in general because I'm a Titans fan. But I'm extremely mad about how this circumstance played out. I mean, think about the moves the Titans front office have made recently.
Right.
They get rid of A.J. Brown.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And they have L'Jarius. They bring in L'Jarius Sneed.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even hardly play. Yeah. But I will say this: I'm a Cam Ward truther. That's my guy.
Okay.
I love Cam Ward.
See, give me Will Levis.
Had a chance to watch Cam Ward in person a lot when he was
that's right. Shout out to UIW.
Shout out to UIW.
Hashtag the word
up.
What was your guys' hashtag?
I think it was word up.
That's not cool. It should have been
the word.
Should have been the word.
I think it's the word actually.
Okay, the word's
it's either
better.
word up or the word.
Hey, that doesn't beat the Wisconsin.
The
that doesn't beat the Wisconsin Woodchucks, man. Chuck or Chuck it, whatever it was we have. But one thing, Fulton.
Right.
Does he become a trade piece now? Maybe you trade him and some picks to get a pass
I'd rather
rush?
have Fulton than Sneed. I think.
Interesting.
That's my opinion.
Okay, I'll cut that out and see what people think about that. But Sneed did blitz a lot when he was here under Spags, and the Chiefs, despite blitzing a lot last year, couldn't generate pass rush. Does that
again?
I mean, I get it. It's not an edge guy, but there's only so many edge guys.
Again, this whole conversation is redundant because there's no pass rush.
But could he?
It's going to take 80 years to get a pass rusher. You're going to have to cover guys for 20,000 years.
Could he be helpful on the pass rush side of things though? Because he.
I know it would be helpful on the pass rush side. Hey,
an edge rusher.
I'm going to give you
an edge rusher.
I'm going to blow your mind.
We'll get Aaron Donald back.
I'm going to blow your mind here on how to help the pass rush. Get an actual guy that's a pass rusher.
Who do you want? Who do you want?
Well, it doesn't matter now.
You wanted Myles Garrett.
No, I didn't want Myles Garrett. I wanted Ruben Bain, but I clearly teams didn't value him either because he dropped to 15. But
yeah,
no, I mean, could the Chiefs have traded for Myles Garrett?
No.
Probably not.
No. They could have. It would have been ugly. But hey.
But again, Myles Garrett's one of those guys where it's like, hey, no matter what the Browns traded him for, the argument could always be made that they didn't trade him. They didn't get enough in return.
Yeah.
He's that quality of player.
Good for him getting out of Cleveland, though, right? Because there was that whole spat where he wanted out before last year, and he
weird situation.
Eventually got out. That was a little Chiefs football chatter with Nick.
Speaking of getting out.
Nick Springer is going to come back next segment as we get out to break. Again, if you're listening on ESPN Kansas City, thanks for joining us today. Flip over to kansasnation.com, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Rock Chalk Sports, KU Chatter with Nick after this on kansasnation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks to everybody who's watching on kansasnation.com, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. That is not Dan Courtwright. That is Nick Springer. He's joining me for a couple extra segments here on RCS.
I'm honored. Yeah, no, I got promoted from the couch to the
yes,
table.
I know. And we didn't have to move any furniture from behind the couch. So that's great. The shot looks fantastic. You look well.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, buddy.
If you're in the market for a new mower.
The lighting really helps make me look good. I don't know.
The lighting is great. I look
bad all the time.
The lighting's great in here. Are you in the market for a new mower? Because might I suggest our friends over at Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. If you're hoping to find a hot deal on a new side-by-side, Can-Am is offering fresh deals this summer. Save up to $1,500 on 2026 Can-Am Defender models at Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. The Defender is a versatile side-by-side utility vehicle that's built to work hard and play hard, and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment will give you their best deal with up to $1,500 off. The offer does end June 30th. For complete details and a great deal on a great new ride, see Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence. So you in the market for a mower? You in the market for a new utility vehicle?
I will say that, considering how much rain we've gotten over the past 6 weeks, like you're going to be needing to mow your lawn a lot.
I told you earlier today when I texted
your money's worth.
I said we had to bring our baby and our toddler.
Right.
Oh my God.
Well, see,
our toddler was livid.
I had to get my baby, aka my cat, and I was trying to jam it in. I was trying to jam her into my crate that I had for her in case we need to sprint to the bathroom real quick. she was not about it.
Yeah.
At all. It was pretty tough.
Yeah, it was 12:30 last night.
I can actually empathize with you, Sean.
Yes,
as a fellow,
thank you. Of course,
as a fellow,
Okay, Dan.
Parent.
Okay, Dan.
As a fellow parent. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because I texted I have family in Overland Park and Lee Summit, and I'm like, oh man, I just texted him at 12:30. I'm like, hey, just so you guys know,
storm's coming.
Storm's coming. Then woke up to text from them this morning. Oh, really? It didn't hit us at all. Like we didn't hear any sirens. I'm like, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
no.
I mean,
it was only Lawrence actually that had the tornado issue. I think.
Yeah.
There was not to get too weatherman on you, but
yes,
they have these things called radar indicators.
What did you think of the weather delay?
For KU baseball?
Kidding.
Oh, dude,
Jordan
terrible.
Gusky, he does a lot of good. He's not a weather reporter, but a lot of weather-related questions from Jordan.
I say like many professions, I say I'm not a weather guy, but I can play one on the radio.
You can play one on radio. You can play one on Kansas Nation right now. Nick, before we talk KU baseball, speaking of the weather issues at Hoagland Ballpark, big story that I briefly touched on yesterday, but it's worth expanding on a little bit. This Brendan Sorsby thing, he's evidently, after a ruling from a Lubbock court, going to miss 2 games of Texas Tech's upcoming season. Of course, Sorsby, an all Big 12 quarterback at Cincinnati, he's going to miss their first 2 games, but otherwise be eligible to practice and to play. This after he admitted to, I don't want to say found guilty of, because he admitted to placing bets as a member of the Cincinnati program and the Indiana program, not only on college football, but on his team.
Right.
The NCAA is obviously very upset about this, and understandably so. Other programs around the country are upset about this. There's questions about, the sanctity of the game, the legitimacy of the game. I don't know if you want to break down some of the specifics that you've heard and then your opinion on it as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's more coming out about this. There was some Big Ten meetings about basically saying, hey, we're not going to play Texas Tech in a non-conference setting in any sport, right? So to basically force Texas Tech to not be able to play any non-conference games essentially is part of it. I know there's probably been some discussions with Big 12. I think there's supposed to be a Big 12 AD call either today or at some point to maybe talk about this more. But, yeah, no, this is obviously a very significant issue right now. And the thing about it is Nicole Auerbach from The Athletic had a great piece on this talking about it is part of Sorsby's argument was to basically to say that, like, hey, it would be detrimental to my mental health if I couldn't play. It's like, okay, buddy, like now you're basically making a laughingstock of that argument of, hey, my mental health will be affected if I can't do what I want, so I'm going to do whatever I want. Like, no, that's not how this works, right? There should be rules. There should be enforcement. Obviously, the NCAA is in a tough spot because it's been this way for a long time, with the NCAA, where if the NCAA tries to enforce anything, they're just going to get sued into oblivion or in this case, with the injunction, like sued into where, hey, guys can still play, right? I mean, they're fighting this on all fronts. So, yeah, I think at some point you have to wonder with something like this, where is the red line? Or what is the red line?
Right.
What is the breaking
Because
point?
in the past, and I saw this, and I had actually never heard this phrase, but I saw this somewhere where, gambling as an athlete, particularly on your own sport, it's a thick red line. That's what I heard. I mean, it's one that isn't even in question. Well, and even earlier today, to your point, article at CBSSports.com, athletic department leaders at Georgia and Nebraska instructed coaches and sport administrators not to schedule Texas Tech in any future athletic competition in the wake of Brendan Sorsby's controversial eligibility ruling. This is an article written by Brad Crawford on CBSSports.com. Nebraska AD Troy Dannon telling CBS Sports, quote, "We are not scheduling Texas Tech moving forward," end quote, because, it was a retired Lubbock judge, Ken Curry, that granted Sorsby a temporary injunction against the NCAA that allows him to play beginning in the Big 12 opener on September 18th.
Well, and think about this. Hunter Deckers did the same thing at Iowa State, and it turns out that he just didn't have enough money or didn't have enough lawyers to make like that's the thing. Like, you're basically setting the precedent of, like, you can do whatever the hell you want if you have the right lawyers and you find the right judges and they say, yeah, you know what, it's fine, right? Like, that's ridiculous. That's
two
absurd.
things in this world, and one of them's money. And if you got enough of it, then apparently you can get whatever you want. But the NCAA had ruled him permanently ineligible, and now the court is overruling that.
Right. So again, the question becomes, like, what is the breaking point? How much are other programs, in the Big 12 and across the country going to put up with this? At what point does the NCAA, and I don't know what the desired outcome is, right? Because obviously, sports betting, sports gambling has really permeated the sports industry so deeply over the past, really 3, 4, 5 years since many states have started to legalize it, including Kansas and Missouri. That like, how do you extricate yourself from that partnership, right? There's so much money invested. There's so much involved, from that side of things. Like, how do you create a barrier to protect that from sports? And this is obviously not a great situation, I don't think, for that argument of creating that barrier. And so I don't know. I'll be very curious what happens. The other actually interesting aspect of this is like, what do opposing fan bases normally do when an athlete has something controversial happen? What do they normally do?
Oh, they'll lay into him.
They latch onto it and just lay into him.
Yeah.
So again, to circle back to this, like, from a mental health, dude, your mental health is about to get even worse from some of the crap that you're going to hear when you're going to play against opposing fan bases. Like, they are going to get after you for this.
That was an interesting.
So your mental health is going to suffer even more, buddy.
For sure. The mental health thing in general, it's, like you said, contradictory, because that was supposed to be part of his reasoning to get better was he had mental health issues. But other things worth noting, again, CBS Sports, I mentioned the Georgia and the Nebraska thing. Well, first thing I'll say, Kansas doesn't play Texas Tech in 2026. Red Raiders are not on the schedule in football. Yeah. You're right. But TCU AD Mike Buddy and K-State AD Gene Taylor both apparently told ESPN that multiple Big 12 schools are informally entertaining the idea of not playing Texas Tech in 2026. Buddy told ESPN, quote, "We anticipate having conversations surround it. We're all anticipating it, but this has not formally been discussed."
Yeah, so I think the best outcome would be if the Big 12 other schools get together and even non-conference teams that Texas Tech will play, if they get together and all say, we're not playing you, to basically force Texas Tech to not play Brendan Sorsby or to dismiss him or whatever, or however that would work.
Yeah, and who knows,
a pressure campaign that way.
What goes into it from a money standpoint either, because that's going to be, again, as it always is, the center of everything. Brett Yormark telling ESPN, quote, "The ramifications of today's ruling are significant and could have broad impacts across college athletics, creating great concern amongst our membership. I've been consulting with our key stakeholders and have scheduled meetings with our conference ADs and executive board this week. We are also in touch with NCAA President Charlie Baker and anticipate the NCAA to appeal the order in the next 24 to 48 hours. We will continue to monitor and evaluate the situation," end quote. Brett Yormark always seems to say and do the right things.
Okay.
Okay, you don't like that at all. You don't like that at all. Fair enough. I'm a big Yormark guy.
I had a big rivalry with
Well,
Brett
you
Yormark
act like his
for a long
suits
time.
don't fit him perfectly every time.
I had a big rivalry with Brett Yormark. Now he's fine.
Okay, good.
He's fine. He's the thing about Brett Yormark is he's the type of guy that he's going to have 20 ideas, and 18 of them are going to be so stupid, but 2 of them might be really good. You just got to figure out which 2 they are.
Hey, that's fair enough, right? That's better than
a great
lot of
example
people.
is the Big 12 tournament where, hey, one of those 20 ideas was to do an electronic LED court.
I still think they shouldn't have.
Kind of a stupid idea.
I think they shouldn't have weaseled
Or,
out.
when he wanted to move the Big 12
tournament. I think they should have kept going with the court, man.
Or,
I think that was a weasel decision to back out.
When he wanted to move the Big 12 tournament to New York. Like, what are we doing? Like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Got pressured
Ridiculous.
to change the court, and it was just fine. And it was, you know what? More than anything else, Nick, it was cool. All right, let's move to KU baseball.
Cool. No,
it was awesome. Are you kidding me?
I don't want to
It was so lame.
this.
It was so lame after the first 3 days of the Big 12 tournament. The peer pressure. Hated it. Anyway, Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network.
I'm shocked you had that take, but I didn't know you had that take.
Joins the show. It was awesome, man. I loved it. All right, let's talk KU baseball. We were over there. We got to adorably sit next to each other at Hoagland Ballpark as the Birds.
That's some real bonding, yeah.
Ended up falling. It was a long day on Sunday, long day and night. And then, of course, they ended the game yesterday. Not a good showing in the Super Regional. Kind of one of those situations where in baseball, and I brought this up on the show yesterday, but the Royals broadcaster Ryan Lefevre says it all the time. It's not always like, is the team you're playing the most talented team out there? And that's not a stab at Oklahoma, but it's how are they playing right now? And Oklahoma's playing like a top 8 team in the country. Kansas just didn't have an answer. KU didn't play clean baseball. They weren't pitching as well, and they certainly weren't hitting as well. Credit OU, but a record-breaking season nonetheless.
Yeah, for me, I think with Oklahoma played their game, and KU never challenged them. KU never disrupted them. KU never tried to interrupt what they were doing. Oklahoma did exactly what they wanted to do. They played small ball. They were stealing bases. They were laying down bunts. They were moving guys around, and then they got power at the right time when they needed it offensively. And then on the other side, just Dom Vagley, we've seen it over the course of the season. Despite the fact that he'd been playing so well over the past 5 weeks or so, 6 weeks or so, he had been vulnerable to having sort of blow up outings, and he just picked the wrong time to have one against Oklahoma on Saturday. And then same deal with Mason Cook, who just really never had it for KU on Sunday night. And then KU has to go to Bodie Ray, and then the rain delay happens, and so because of that,
KU.
Well, but in the situation with Bodie Ray, they go to him before he throws 4 pitches Sunday night before the rain delay. Well, he's the active pitcher, so they had to start him on Monday or yesterday to
which
resume.
They were probably happy about, though. Honestly,
yeah, probably. I mean, they probably would have done that anyways.
Worst case scenario would have been you pulled him, then he didn't have it all.
Right, exactly. So they probably would have done that regardless, given the circumstances. But yeah, they just never disrupted. And I talked about this, I think, with you guys actually on the show last week, last week after KU won the Lawrence Regional. And one of the big things that I kind of mentioned was the Lawrence Regional was a total team effort. Not even just talking about the guys on the field, but like the crowd, the fans, everybody, right? It was perfect from that standpoint of KU having the energy of the crowd behind them for those games. There was such a big factor. You could tell how much the student section impacted things, how much the crowd impacted things, and because of the weather and also because of how things unfolded this weekend for KU, the crowd was completely nullified, right? Because you got down big early on Saturday. Sunday, you had the long rain delay. You moved the game to Monday afternoon. We were there yesterday. There were more OU fans than KU fans at Hoagland Ballpark, really, for the rest of the game on Monday because of the weather, right? And so it was just such a huge bummer that, such a significant advantage for KU, or what had been such a significant advantage for KU for a good chunk of the season and certainly at the regional, was completely mitigated, by the circumstances of this weekend with the weather and the fact that, you just kind of got taken out of the game early with OU scoring runs. So that was kind of I thought a real bummer that, the fans, the crowd really didn't even get a chance to impact the game in the way that they had impacted previous games when you go back to like the Lawrence Regional. So that really sucked. But, beyond that, this is, as you said, an extremely disappointing end to an otherwise still historic season, arguably the greatest season in KU baseball history. I know they made the World Series. I know they made the College World Series in 1993, but
yeah,
you win the Big 12 regular season title, you win the Big 12 tournament title, you host the Super Regional for the first time ever, you make the Super Regional. You have so many individual accolades with Don Vagley setting a strikeout record, Tyson LeBlanc 25 home runs. That's a school record. Dan Fitzgerald obviously winning Coach of the Year again. So the argument could be made, that this was the best season in KU history. Also, you set the record for most wins now in program history as well. But still, to have it end that way where you get outscored 21-3 on your home field, that hurts.
Yeah.
And the worst part for me, obviously we had a lot of time Sunday and yesterday to reflect on the season because it was, the picture was painted basically by, the 6th inning yesterday that this was going to be it for KU, which gave me a lot of time to kind of look back and reflect on, what the season means and what it is. And the two biggest things that I kind of circled back to is, one, you don't want this season to be the peak, right? You want this to hopefully still be a stepping stone towards greater things, towards pushing for the College World Series in the near future. And I do think that's a possibility because you have Dan Fitzgerald, and I think at this point you actually absolutely have to trust what he and his staff have built with John Coyne and recruiting and having the top-ranked junior classes, and not only just bringing in lower-level guys, but also developing them as well. So you have to trust in that. And from the administrative side, they really went all in this particular run for KU. Can they keep that going? Travis Goff was very bullish about, building a new indoor facility for KU. And obviously, we know that Arkansas fans, talked a lot of smack leading up to the regional about Hoagland Ballpark. And look, it's no secret that Hoagland Ballpark is not one of the top facilities in the Power Four. That's just an objective fact. It's not a knock on KU. It's just, it is what it is. What kind of amenities can you offer there? What kind of, things can you upgrade to help continue to elevate the fan experience while also elevating what you have on the field as well? But then the second part is, and I really started to think about this a lot, and I was actually talking to a buddy of mine who disagreed, but I feel pretty confident in this. Okay. let's say in the next 3 years, do you think that KU is going to feasibly get an easier opportunity, or like, I'm going to use the term easier here as sort of a blanket phrase, but in the next 3 years, is KU going to get an easier opportunity to get to the College World Series? I would argue no, and here's why. Last year, we talked about this as well. Last year, the Big 12 didn't get a single team hosting a regional. This year, you have KU and West Virginia, both clearly really good teams, right? West Virginia is going to be in the College World Series. KU obviously went to a super regional. They were 15 and 16 seeds. So if KU feasibly has a similar season next year or the year after that to what they had this year, they're still going to be a 12, 13, 14. Like, they're still going to be a double-digit seed.
Right,
they're not going to – they're not – it's obvious, you know, from the NCAA committee bias, SEC bias, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
obvious that KU is not going to – if they have a similar season next year, 40-plus wins, win the Big 12, win the Big 12 tournament, great. They're going to be like a 12, 13 seed. Their regional is not going to be that much easier than what they had this year.
So let me ask you
they're
this.
probably not going to get lucky enough again to where their opposite team that's a higher seed than them is going to not get out of their regional either.
Maybe. And maybe it would be more fair of a question to say 5 years, just because you give yourself a better chance and there's more variability on that front. But yes, regarding that, and you might know the answer to this, if Kansas didn't host the regional, or if they don't host the regional in the future, can you still host a super regional theoretically as the higher seed if the opponent from the other regional that emerges is a lower seed?
Yeah, because
so
Troy and Little Rock.
Yeah, so you could host exactly. So Troy hosted that
against Little Rock
regional and won both, and they're on
right.
the college.
And Troy wasn't
World
the
Series.
regional host. Yeah,
so
it
there
just
is
comes down
that.
to seeding.
But I think that's a good point.
But the point being that you're not.
That they had about as good a season as you can have, and they still were 15, 16.
Right. Yeah. You are feasibly not going to have an easier path, I don't think, in the near future to the College World Series than what you had this year, which, again, is what stings even more about how – Now, granted, as you mentioned earlier, Oklahoma obviously more than deserves to be in the College World Series, played, clearly a really, really good team. But that's the point, is that – And I think it's going to be even worse going forward because the SEC is going to have 5 teams in the College World Series. You have an entire quadrant of the College World Series. It's all SEC teams.
Right.
So that bias towards SEC teams, I think, is going to be even greater going forward, probably based off the results we've seen. And so if you're KU, again, if you win the Big 12 again next year, if you reasonably have – and that's a big if, right? Like, it's not like this particular Kansas team, there's a lot of guys that are not going to be returning, a lot of guys that are not going to – be a part of this team next year. Think about some of the guys that they brought in transfers. Don Bagley. You're gonna have basically probably a almost brand new rotation starting wise next year for KU. So that's a big if. Even still, you're probably not going to be any better than a 12, 13, 14 seed. If you're hosting,
be tough given the SEC bias.
If you're hosting again, and you're probably not going to get lucky enough again like you did this year, where the 1 and 2 seeds.
That happens a lot, though.
No, it doesn't.
I think you're. I think that your first. When was the last time? When was the last time the number 1 overall seed had success in this thing?
In the college, in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know.
They've been consistently getting upset. But I get what you're saying. But I think your first point is
they get
better.
upset in the Super Regional or the College World Series. They don't get upset in their own regional.
Last year it was, I don't remember who it was. I think it was LSU last year. They were the 1 overall and lost. But I do see your points, and I think the first one is better. The fact that Kansas, won the Big 12 regular season outright. They won the Big 12 tournament. It's like, what else do you want from them? And they still were the 15th overall.
That to me is what stings about this a little bit more, is that.
But you know what? Even you could do that again.
But again, this is a lot of projection. So
and then
it's
be host. If you do that, and you are even 12 to 16, you're still hosting a regional.
I don't think in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years that KU is going to play and or luck themselves into an. Again, I use the term easier, but I don't mean that as like a knock against Oklahoma. I just mean that being able to host a regional, then being able to host super regional. Like, I don't think KU is going to play or luck themselves into a better opportunity to make the college series. That doesn't mean that they couldn't do it, right? That doesn't mean that they couldn't overcome and they couldn't go on the road and win a super or what. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, just from strictly like a general this is their path,
right? Not a stab
forget about the
KU,
teams, forget about Arkansas, forget about Oklahoma. Just this is their path: winning a regional, hosting like. I don't think that they are going to feasibly have a better opportunity.
You're right. It seems like there would need to be a shift on the bias, honestly. I mean, UNC is number 5 and UCLA was number 1, but again, the SEC bias is big. I'll give you an example, though, of what you're talking about. like K-State basketball in 2018, you're thinking, man, there's going to be absolutely no way that we get another golden shot at a Final Four than facing Loyola Chicago. And then, bam, 5 years later, they get FAU. And what do? They lose both of them.
Right.
So
I
that's
don't know.
how
We'll
it
see.
goes.
Obviously, what I'm talking about is a whole lot of projection and many variables involved in what I'm kind of speculating here. But that's kind of what I started going to is like, man, I think that's why this maybe feels like an even bigger missed opportunity for KU to get to that national stage in Omaha. But again, on the flip side of that, kind of like I mentioned earlier, on the same side of that coin is you have to have a lot of faith in Dan Fitzgerald to do it again, right? Like, I mean, with what he's built, he's absolutely established himself, right? And so, you have to have faith that he's going to be able to put KU in a position to do that. And then again, if they can get that additional administrative support from Travis Scoff, but that stuff is all going to take some time.
For sure.
So that's the problem.
You'd like to get to a point where if you finish top 3 or 4 in the Big 12.
Now,
that's a big thing, right?
Now,
like you want to get to a point where if you finish top 3 or 4 in Big, you feel comfortable about hosting a regional.
Right. Now, the other part of this conversation about the Big 12 specifically is I do think in this same time period that we're discussing, which is the next 3 to 5 years of KU baseball, Kansas has a very real opportunity to cement themselves as a top 2 or 3 program in the Big 12.
Yes.
When you look across the state of the conference, Arizona was in the College World Series 2 years ago, but they missed the tournament this year. Arizona State, okay, whatever. BYU's not good. Utah's not good. The perennial Big 12 baseball powers are all, I think, very vulnerable right now. Texas Tech missed a tournament. TCU missed a tournament. Oklahoma State not as good as they have been in the past. Obviously, there's no Texas and Oklahoma anymore, so they're out of the picture. Your biggest competition is West Virginia, basically. Yeah. I think. I think it's very possible that KU and West Virginia could assert themselves as the 2 top programs in the Big 12 going forward. That there's a very, very real opportunity for KU, I think, to do that, to become that type of program. And again, that'll probably have to be reflected in some upgrades to Oakland, I'm sure, or whatever, however they choose to approach that.
Yeah.
Some additional indoor facilities, whatever that looks like. But there is a real opportunity because those other sort of traditional Big 12 powers on the baseball side of things are very vulnerable right now, I think. And so, Oklahoma State fans want their coach fired, for losing in a regional. So we'll see how things go there. But so there is that part of it as well for KU. But even still, again, I think you can't help but look at this as a huge missed opportunity for Kansas. You're a 15 seed, but your 2 seed loses. You get a host super regional. But again, so many outside factors with the weather and everything. Like that's what I kept thinking about too. Is like, man, the crowd was it was so obvious the impact that the crowd had on the regional for KU to advance. And just the way the weekend unfolded with Oklahoma coming in and starting really hot, the weather delays, the weather scaring fans away, the game getting moved to Monday. Like the one of the most important factors of KU even hosting the regional or hosting the super regional in the first place was completely thrown out the window for the whole weekend.
It was. And the fact that the Hawks just ran into a buzzsaw in Oklahoma. The fact you play so many games in a baseball season, you're not always going to play your best ball. Kansas was playing so good for so long. I mean, going back to March, Houston series, Houston, Utah, Cincinnati, Kansas rolls through everybody. Then you start beating the good teams. You take 2 or 3 from Oklahoma State. You sweep UCF. You end up going 7-0 against Nebraska, Mizzou, and K-State. You finish strong with 2 out of 3 against BYU. KU was just playing so well and just didn't this past week in the Super Regional.
I was talking to John Coyne, actually, on our show on the paid podcast on KCSN, before the regional. And he basically honed in and was like, hey, look, that series against Texas Tech is when everything changed.
Yeah.
KU, I think, lost the opening game of that series against Texas Tech.
Lost the first 2, yeah.
Yeah, they lost the first 2, that's right.
That final game was huge.
They come back, they win on Sunday, and John Coyne pointed to that and was like, hey, look, that was the moment where just the switch flipped for us. And I think they won 21-23 after that. So that series was such a pivotal series for them early in conference play where, so they lose the first 2 games. They win 18-7 in that Sunday game. Yeah. And it's just boom.
Totally.
From there, everything flipped.
The other thing that sucked is you didn't have Cade Baldridge, which that's not nothing. He's not worth he's probably not worth 18 runs, but still, he's a middle-of-the-order bat and a great defender as well. Nick, I'm going to wait until next week. We'll ask you about the football commits that I documented in the opening segment. 7 guys visited over the weekend, and all 7 committed to KU. That's huge. So
big weekend.
A lot to get into. We got to get into the Top 12 Tuesday, though. That's coming up next. You going to stick around?
I guess. I don't know.
Top 12 Tuesday.
I didn't prepare anything.
Coming up. Oh, no. It's all me. It's all me. You know what? Just sit there. You don't have to say a word.
You know what?
You'll be good.
That's what I'm really good at, is just reacting to what you
perfect.
do. So
perfect. Just jump it in. I got to tell you about Central Bank and Sporting Kansas City. They're bringing their Soccer Capital of America pop-up shops to communities across the metro. Stop by select Central Bank locations for discounts on official tournament merchandise, soccer games, giveaways, and the chance to get the limited edition Soccer Capital of America debit card. This Friday's pop-up shop is at Central Bank's West 6th branch in Lawrence from 9 o'clock until 5. Again, that's Friday. You can view the full schedule of pop-up shops and get your Soccer Capital of America debit card by visiting soccercapitalkc.com. More soccer, more spirit, only at Central Bank. Member FDIC. A Top 12 Tuesday after this on Rock Chalk Sports, kansasnation.com. Crown Automotive on South Iowa in Lawrence, our founding partners here at Kansas Nation. You can also check them out online at crownautomotive.com. You can schedule Volkswagen or Toyota service online. You can also browse new Volkswagens, new Toyotas, used cars as well. They've got a great selection. Or if you are local, head on over. South Iowa here in Lawrence, Crown Automotive. Give Miles Schneer and his team a shout out. We appreciate them, and certainly tell them the guys at Kansas Nation sent you. Sean Kellerman joined extra long today by Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network. Nick, appreciate you taking some time out of your very, very busy schedule.
Yeah, dude.
How about a Top 12 Tuesday for today? Usually Dan Courtwright is in, and he has taken his talents to Cancun for his first honeymoon, as his second one will
have
be.
you discussed the fact that he's got 2 honeymoons?
Yes, I have complained about it a lot. But I am dreaming of my vacations. Not that I don't love, absolutely love being here.
I've never been out of the country, by the way.
You've never been out of the country?
No, never.
That's crazy.
I don't even have a passport.
I've never been across the pond, but I've been to
Alaska.
I've been to Costa Rica. I've been to Canada.
I
I've been
literally
to
don't
Mexico.
even have a passport. My mom tells me to get one. I don't even have one.
You should get one. You need to get a trip planned.
I should get a trip planned, yeah.
So I've got Canada coming up soon, going on a fishing trip with my dad.
Nice.
And then later, we've got a trip to the Ozarks that I talked about earlier. Great family time, great experiences. So I'm going to get right into this. Top 12 things about going to the lake on a Kellerman family trip. We'll do that.
Okay, great.
All right,
Yeah,
number
love it.
12, the road trip itself, snacks and music. What's your go-to snack? What's your go-to music?
How far of a drive is it to the Ozarks?
It's only like, from here, it's about 3:15.
Okay.
Well, how many
Yeah.
kids do you have, I guess, is the question. Because if you have none.
Oh, I thought you were asking me how many kids I have.
Oh, no. If
I don't have any
if
kids.
I didn't know
we
the answer to that
earlier,
question, I
but-
wouldn't be a very good friend, I feel like, if I asked you how many kids you had. You got to at least know that. I mean, guys generally don't know a lot about other guys'
No,
personal
you're right.
lives,
Oh,
but
I know nothing.
Yeah.
I'm oblivious to
so
everything.
I've got 2, just so you know. And
Oh, wow.
my
I didn't
daughter
even know.
does too
I
like
knew that, actually. Sorry.
I've got 2 kids, but road trip snack is about, we'll say 3 hours for argument's sake. Road trip
that's not
music.
bad.
You're a big Cheez-It guy. I know you
I do
love some
Cheez-Its.
chicken nuggets too at Wendy's.
Yeah. After the KU baseball game got delayed, I hit up Wendy's the other night. That was good. I used to be a huge Goldfish guy. I like Goldfish still now, not as much as I used to, but yeah, Cheez-Its, Goldfish.
Oh, Cheez-Its are top tier snack.
Yeah, I'll normally just, stop at a gas. Okay, we'll say. I don't do this very often. I do go absolutely crazy for a gas station honey bun.
A gas station honey bun.
Love a gas station honey
iced
bun.
or no?
No ice.
No ice. That's weird.
No, not glazed. That's not weird.
That's weird.
No, that's not weird.
Hey,
No, dude.
I'll respect it.
A gas station honey bun. Ooh.
See, I like something that you can just pop. So like Cheez-Its or
Right. No, the gas station honey bun is only the play if you're not driving.
yeah.
If you're driving,
then you got
right. If you're driving, you probably can't do a honey bun. You'd have
Yeah.
to do something a little bit different. But
That's fair.
gas station honey bun. Man, I remember on a trip with I was actually with the KU baseball team. We were on a trip back. We were busing to Texas, and we're busing back. It's like 4 a.m. We stop at a gas station, honey bun.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest honey bun of my life.
I love
I'll
it,
never
man.
forget. Like,
I respect
I'll
it.
be 90 with Alzheimer's. I'll be like, man, I remember eating a honey bun at a gas
On that
station
trip?
in Oklahoma at 3 a.m., whatever time it was, on the way back from
It
the
just
KU
hit the
baseball
spot.
trip.
That's so funny that it was that memorable of a honey
God,
bun.
So good.
I'll take it. Yeah, man. Cheez-Its, though. Give me some sunflower seeds. Give me some candy.
No
Dan,
sunflower seeds.
no, give me some sunflower seeds.
Absolutely not.
That dill pickle. Dan
No.
would say he wants the nerd gummy clusters. All right, number 11 on my top 12 things about a Kellerman trip
I'm gonna have to speed this up.
the Ozarks. Right, eating at the Dairy Bar in Cole Camp, Missouri. There's not a lot of good things about Missouri, but the Dairy Bar is a fantastic one. We usually hit this on the way back, and it's like the greatest but most depressing burger of your life because you're
So what is it,
leaving
just like a
vacation.
restaurant?
It's a classic hole in the wall restaurant. It's got greasy burgers, but it's also got. Are you a big milkshake guy?
Oh,
Malts?
I love shakes. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Dude,
The
my
malts
first shot was at Brahms Shake.
Yeah.
Woo!
Oh, dude. This is Brahms level. Absolutely, for sure.
Okay.
And again, it's tiny town in Missouri, Cole Camp, and you can get a cherry vanilla malt. That's my go-to. My dad gets the double chocolate cherry malts. They've got shakes. It hits. And after you put on about 10 pounds drinking beer at the lake, that one's
Nice.
good. All right, number 10 on my top 12 things about going to the lake, the old sunset cruise. My family loves this to where you got a boat, and my dad
Okay, I
is
would
gracious
assume you'd have a
enough.
boat on the
Yes,
lake.
my
Yeah,
dad is
that makes
gracious
sense.
enough to rent a boat for usually 3 of our days, and they've got a pool, and we've all got kids, so the pool is nice because they run
Right.
around and stuff.
Right,
But the
right.
sunset cruise, my family loves. I usually will offer to watch the kids while the adults go out and play some
yeah.
music, and you're on the water. You got the sunset, gorgeous. You ever been on a sunset cruise?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh. Have you ever been
is
on a
this
lake ever?
Is this a safe space?
Yes.
Like nobody else is gonna hear this, right? Just me and you.
That's
Like,
true.
only
Yeah,
us?
that's why the microphone's there. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure because
Yeah.
this is kind of embarrassing. I'm terrified of water,
Oh my god.
like large bodies of water.
Okay.
Terrified.
What about a little
Top
pool?
3 like fears. No, like pool's fine.
Okay.
It's really just like bodies of water where I can't see what's below me.
Hey,
Like
dude, this
ocean,
is
terrifying.
This is as
Lakes-
safe a space as anything. I
Lakes-
don't do heights.
so that's my So heights is also up there.
Okay.
With my fears. Yeah. No, I don't. I will go on a boat and I will be
Yeah.
okay, but you ain't gonna get me in the water
Hey, that's fine.
because I can't see
I've
what's
said
below
this,
me. Loch Monster's gonna eat me. Something. I don't know.
It could happen.
I'm not. So I don't. I'm not about it.
Well,
I don't
I've
like
said
it. So I
this-
like this list, but this might not be for me.
That's fair. Oh, the lake thing? Because
The lake thing.
that's fair. Well,
don't
you know
like-
what? You're
you know.
stuck in that chair anyway.
I'll go
I've
on a
said
lake,
this to
but-
court wrong many times, but I'm the hold the purses guy at the Worlds of Fun or wherever, man. I don't do that.
You know, in middle school, I did go on the what's the name of the big one? Oh my gosh, the Black Mamba.
Mamba, yeah.
I thought I was dead.
Yeah.
I thought I was dead.
Yeah.
I literally
So you
thought I
did
was
go
gonna
on
die.
it once?
I did, and it
Was
was
it
the
peer
worst.
pressure that
It
led
was
you
the
up there?
worst. Here's what happened actually. It was a middle school orchestra trip
And
to
Dad?
Worlds of Fun, and we got there really early to play whatever our performance, right? And so we got there right when the park opened, so there was nobody. So it was more like a situation where like everyone was like, "Hey, let's sprint to the Mamba right away and just do it," right?
Yeah.
Where there's no line.
Because it was pretty new.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So this was over,
Right. So
over
you're
10
like,
years
all
ago.
right, let's do it.
So so it wasn't a peer pressure thing. It was more like just like a, hey, everyone's gonna go ride this new roller coaster. Everyone's, we're just going and we're first in line. Nobody's
Yeah.
there. We're strapped in. We're doing it. Now we're going up
And
it,
you're
and I'm like,
I
I'm
just
dead.
died. Yeah.
I'm dead.
Right.
I'm literally
Did
dead.
you enjoy it at all?
No, it was
perfect.
awful.
I love
okay.
it.
You know how they take the little picture of you when you're going down?
Yeah.
The picture they got of me, you can't see me because I'm like my head is like ducked down
Yeah,
below. Like
yeah.
you can't even see my head.
Oh,
'Cause
no,
I'm
man.
like,
That's
I
my
thought
nightmare.
It was horrible.
I'm not a guy like that. So okay,
Now,
that's
I don't
fine.
hate roller coasters. Like the ones that don't go super high, I don't like.
Believe it or not, a lot of this stuff actually isn't water related. So
Okay, well, that's
that
good.
brings me to number 9 on my top 12 things about going to Lake the Ozarks. Late night card games. Do you,
yeah, that's a good
you
one.
dabble?
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that?
I do like card games.
What's
yeah.
I mean, what do you like golf? You like poker? You like
Poker. Poker's a good one. My grandma and my parents. You ever played?
Pinochle.
No,
When
no,
somebody
no.
says cards and grandma, I think Pinochle.
Yeah, no, but you ever heard? It's called Rummy, I think. It's where like
Oh,
you
yeah.
get like 7 cards.
Oh, gin
and
rummy?
then- yeah, gin rummy. Yeah,
Dude.
yeah. That's the one. Yeah, we
I
played
grew
that.
up on that stuff.
Yeah.
My dad and I played that all the time.
Yep, that's a good one where like you get
You
7
get a
cards
set
and
of
then it's right. and it's
3.
like each round
Or
it's
you
like
get 10.
yeah, and you need a set of 3. You need
A run.
a run of 4. and then you need to like same suit or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
That's a great game.
The best part about it is whenever I play with my grandma, she never remembers the rules. So inevitably, it's like every time we play, it's something different. It's like, well, normally we do this. Like, I don't think we've ever done that before.
You're like, all right,
it's
whatever.
Like, okay, well, we're going with it. Whatever.
Something that's not on here, and you probably wouldn't relate to because you don't get in the water, but the shower after being in the sun and being in the water before you play cards, because then you're like clean and you're winding down playing cards. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Number 8 on my list of top 12 things about going to the Lake of the Ozarks: eating at a local spot on the lake, like a bar and grill that if it were to be in your hometown would be like a 5.5 out of 10.
Right.
But since you're at the lake, oh my God, we have to go to this place.
That's
10
crazy.
out of 10. We got to go. We got to go to Fish and Co. We got to go to Big Dick's Halfway In.
That's great.
Oh man, it's just so epic. But yeah,
Can you repeat that?
It's
Name
not
of that
great.
place?
Big Dick's Halfway In.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's
I
a
just wanna
great,
make sure I heard that right.
great local spot. Check it out next time you're at the Ozarks. But yeah, we love going on the boat and you just kind of hang out.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good one. Number 7, I think that you would appreciate this.
Okay.
Yard games.
Okay.
So
yeah.
when we go to the Lake of the Ozarks, this little cabin area I talk of, they have a little pool, and then you got the lake that you can jump into and all that. But they also have a nice big area, so you can take your set of bags, you can take your washers. They got a ping pong table over there. The kids play with the bubbles and they run around in the yard,
Right, yeah.
and all that. So yeah, yard games.
Okay,
You a fan? You ever dabbled with those?
Yeah. I mean, cornhole obviously is a big one for me.
Of course, yeah.
Even though I suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, the skill level of cornhole, there's an inverse relationship between number of drinks I have and how good I am.
Right, exactly.
So it's pretty tough.
That's fair.
But yeah, no, I'm a big cornhole guy.
I'm one of those where you need to play, like, what are we doing here? Is it a yard game? Is it a beer drinking game? I think that how I grew up was if you're playing washers or horseshoes or cornhole bags, whatever, you have to have a beer
Nobody
in one
calls it
hand.
bags here.
I know, which is dumb because that's
Yeah, no, it's stupid.
you have to have a beer in your hand. Like, people just go out with absolutely nothing and they're just playing with two hands. I'm like, no, you got to have a beer in one hand and you got to bend over every
Assuming
single
you're
time and pick up the
21
bag.
Assuming you're 21, of course.
Of course. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, whatever. Number 6 on my top 12 things about going to the lake: fishing. I like fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever drop a line?
Yeah, I didn't think fishing was like a big Ozark thing, though. Do people fish there?
Oh, you don't catch any fish.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
but,
sorry.
it's the activity.
Right.
You would love for there to be some fish, maybe a perch or bluegill now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we don't have like a fishing boat or anything. That's what I'll be doing when I'm in Canada, like exclusively
Right, yeah.
fishing. But it's fun dropping a line. And again, we got cousins that are 6 months old to 17 years old,
Give them one of
18
those
years
little,
old. The
tiny
pink,
rods.
the pink Minnie
Right,
Mouse
right,
rods.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
adorable. So
Yep.
so they like it, and then you're thrilled when they catch a fish.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're like, oh my God, there's actually a fish in this lake.
Yeah, no,
And
that's what I was confused by. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I didn't think people went to fish that much.
Yeah.
I guess they don't fish; they just drop a line.
They don't really. Yeah, drop a line. Do it for the. You can always tell yourself. There's always that option. Number 5, and I think you'll appreciate this as well.
Okay.
Also not water related. Gossiping about family members who aren't there. I think anytime you're on a trip, talking trash on family or friends who aren't there, respectfully.
Now, I will say, I feel like this is maybe a universal experience for most people. The age at which you are looped into like the family issues.
Yes.
Like usually it's
yeah.
around
What is
like
that age? 12.
No. At least not for me.
Oh.
I think for most people it's probably like college age.
Oh, mom.
Jeez. Like 20. Around that time period.
Yeah.
When you graduate from the kids
That's
table.
fair.
And you start
Yeah.
to learn about
People don't actually like this person.
family things that
Right.
are happening, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, So I think
sure.
that's probably a bit of a universal experience for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That, once you hit, adult age, 18, 21, whatever it is, you start to learn, wait a minute, you're telling
Yeah.
me I have an uncle that we never knew because,
Yeah.
they feuded over grandma's house being sold. And,
Right. Oh, exactly. You're telling me I have an aunt that nobody actually likes.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
No. That's great. I mean, for me, it was like I was 12 when I got it, and a lot of it
it was
started
later for me.
going to the lake, and it's like, oh, okay, it's good to know we don't actually like this person.
Wow, yeah.
That's cool. Number 4 on my list of top 12 things about going to the Lake of the Ozarks, as I do with my family, hopefully every summer: country music. Country music. I know you're a big Kane Brown guy.
I hate country music.
You don't like
I
any
don't
of it.
hate country music, but I don't like it.
You like Garth Brooks. What do you like?
My parents like Garth Brooks.
Okay. Johnny Cash.
Yeah, like Johnny Cash. Yeah.
How about modern country? Luke Bryan.
No.
I don't like Luke Bryan, man.
No, I don't like country
I like
really
two
all
of
that
his
much,
songs,
to be
but
honest.
I'm not
Like,
a fan anymore.
I'm not going to be upset if somebody's playing country music, but I'm not going to be like, oh, hell yeah,
it is very much a Lake thing, right? Though.
No, I know
like
it
the
is.
Ozarks, it's like you're popping. I mean, you're.
No, I know, and I get it. So that's why I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to,
Yeah.
if I ever were at the lake and somebody was like, put on some country music, I'm not going to be like, hey, turn that off.
Right.
What are we doing? Like, I'm just going to be like, oh, whatever,
You're not going to hear as much, Shaggy or Britney Spears when you get the Ozarks.
I am like the most neutral music person of all time, and that I'm down. I'm
good
cool
with whatever.
I don't care.
That's good.
Don't
Hey,
matter to me.
that's good for a road trip.
Yeah.
Good for a road trip. All right, number 3 on my list, top 12 things
getting
about
down to it
going
here.
to the lake. Daytime boat ride. You said you don't mind boats, but you ain't getting
I don't
in the
mind
water.
boats.
Okay.
Yeah, I can go on a boat. I've
so
been on boats.
There's a little bit of
I'm not getting in the water.
of things that go along with this, which is fine. I have kind of opted out of tubing because it hurts. But all the kids.
Yeah, I've never done tubing.
All the kids want to go
And
tubing.
I don't think I'll ever do it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like
It doesn't seem fun to me.
It's the only semi-adventurous thing that I would do, and I still haven't done it in a long time. I might do some other adventure stuff, but no, it's fun. Boat rides are great though, because if you're not going to one of those restaurants that I previously spoke of, you can pack some sandwiches. You got some grapes. You got coolers full of beer. You got the music going. So there's a little bit of the whole lake experience. You got the sun coming in.
Right. I mean, I think, to me, this is the quintessential lake thing.
Yeah.
But you have it at number
being
3.
on a boat.
So
yes,
so you got 2
exactly.
things about
Well, number 2 is gonna blow your mind because it's a slash. Number 2 is floating in the lake / pool / sitting in the sun / beer.
What the hell?
So I couldn't decide. So basically, basically, number 2 is being
This
in
is
the
a top
sun.
17 list.
Being
What the
in
hell
the
is
sun.
this?
Plus, I've got honorable mentions.
Oh my. What are we
Being in the
doing
sun,
here,
drinking
man?
beer is number 2. Being in the sun,
Okay,
drinking
that's
beer.
fine.
That's
No, that's
floating
fine.
in the lake, so you got your noodles.
I'm not doing that.
Your life jackets or whatever. Dude,
No,
you
thanks.
get a life jacket and a noodle. You'll be fine.
That don't matter. It's not about. It's not about that. I just
right.
explained to you what it's
I've
about.
got a pool on here. What if the pool is
Pool's
only
fine.
3 feet deep?
Oh yeah, I'll go in the pool.
Okay, you can hang out in the pool.
No,
you
kiddie
you
pool is
could
great. I love it.
Drink a beer, totally. But sitting in the sun, you
Yeah.
enjoy that?
Yeah, I like sitting in the sun. Yeah.
Do you tan up nice? Tan up,
Yeah, no, I got a nice tan going right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a can't miss thing about the lake.
Right.
And then
I'm
number
a little
1.
upset that you just combined like 18 things, but
Actually, and I might do a 1 and a 1A as well.
oh my god,
Drum roll.
this is unbelievable.
Number 1, top 12 things about going to the lake. Family time. Kicking it with the fam.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Everybody's got their own life. You're going this way, that way. It's, you can't ever all get together, but you plan this out. We had this trip that we're taking in July planned out like my sister texted me the day after we got back last year of the new week. I'm like, all right, man.
We're doing it next
Let's
year.
do it. And then 1A is, and you'll appreciate this about essentially any vacation. I don't know how you vacation exactly, but no timeline at the lake. Like, you go to bed when you want, you wake up when you want.
Right.
A little bit different with kids, but like you can go to the pool, you can go take a nap, you can go play yard games.
I'm definitely no. I think that's good because that's definitely kind of how I am. It's like on a vacation. Nah, I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
I don't.
Totally.
I mean, there's going to be certain things I'm going to want to do depending on what the vacation is. But generally speaking, whatever. I don't care. I'm just around. I'm just there.
You get to do what you
enjoying
want.
it,
Totally.
Whatever. We'll do whatever.
Honorable mentions. I've got jumping in the lake, which I know you would love. S'mores. You dabble?
Yeah, s'mores probably should have been on the list.
S'mores probably.
That
I
probably
know.
should have been on the
but
list.
I didn't.
You got 12 things.
I didn't
You
want to
could've
be.
kicked out something.
I didn't want to be ridiculous and go to 13.
No, you just kick out something else that you already had.
I couldn't do it. Couldn't do
That's
it.
unbelievable.
Beach volleyball. You can play over at Captain Ron's at Lake of the Ozarks.
Okay,
Shout out anybody listening. And then honorable mention, going to Woods. It is a very normal grocery store that we go to that my brother-in-law, who also is, I don't really know if he's a lake guy or not, but he loves going to the store to get more ice or something, going to Woods.
I like that. I like going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
I actually really do
was-
like grocery shopping.
Me too. It's strange.
Go in the store, relaxing.
Yeah.
Walk around.
stuff.
Get your
Hey.
same routine.
What's coming up on Kansas City Sports Network? Anything of note?
Oh yeah,
This
we've
is
got
your not as busy season, but we've got football chatter coming up.
That is true. Yeah. The big thing we're doing is we're gonna have some NBA draft coverage. We actually Shreyas Slaughter from the Kansas City Star. We had a chance to speak with Jeremy Rue from ESPN about Darren Peterson, Tyron Stokes. That'll be coming up later this week on the feed on KCSN at Kansas Jocks KCSN on YouTube. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts. We'll do that. We're going to be continuing some post-spring position breakdowns for KU football. as well. As we get into the summer, we're going to be starting to preview the upcoming season for KU football as well, because I think we're less than 90 days away, right?
I think it was 100 last week, so we might not quite be.
So we're not quite less than 90?
Close, yeah. September 4th, but yeah.
So, so we'll be starting to get into our season previews for KU football. Obviously, anything happening with KU basketball as well this summer also. So, yeah, we got lots of great coverage. I'm excited for another year at KCSN. It's been a lot of fun. Excited for the first full year with Shreyas as well, who
Totally.
joined us recently, which is really cool. So, yeah, should be fun. If you haven't already, go ahead and check us out, subscribe, and enjoy our show.
Last year we had a little KU basketball media availability around this time, so hopefully that comes about. Get to meet some of the new guys.
Yeah, that's
That'd
true
be fun.
too. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I know Bill Self, he normally speaks at the Topeka Golf Tournament, whatever that happened 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
it'll be
see
fun
happens.
to meet the new guys. Nick Springer, appreciate your extended time today. Kansas City Sports
appreciate
Network.
you. I appreciate you.
Give him a follow, and we'll have you on next week when Court Wrong returns from his vacation. More coming up to close it out here on Rock Chalk Sports on KansasNation.com. Welcome back. Sean Kellerman here, closing down Rock Chalk Sports for you today on this Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Everybody watching live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and, of course, KansasNation.com. Shout out as well to Elijah Schmidt behind the cameras helping us out today. Custom Lawn and Landscape, they sponsored our KU baseball updates throughout the season, and they're partners of us here at Kansas Nation. Spring and summer are made for backyard fun. If you're like me and you've got kids running through the grass, got family cookouts lasting past sunset, you know nothing ruins time outside faster than fleas, ticks, and chiggers. That's why families trust Custom Lawn and Landscape to help keep their lawns beautiful and protected all season long. Our home insect control program helps defend your yard from those pesky bugs so your pets and loved ones can enjoy the outdoors more comfortably and safely. Right now, when you sign up for the season, your first application is free. That's right, your first application with Custom Lawn, absolutely free. It's a simple way to take back your backyard this spring and summer. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your free first application with the Seasonal Insect Control Program. Custom Lawn and Landscape, helping you love your lawn without the bugs. As I said, the rest of this week, we're going to have some special guests. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. Please, if you can, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Twitter and Instagram, it's at The Kansas Nation. Facebook is Kansas Nation. Send in KU mailbag segments. Greeny is going to stick around for the KU mailbag segment tomorrow. Send in those questions, comments. They can be sports related. They can be anything else related regarding the KU mailbag. That's one of our favorite segments, so please send those in, and we'll be happy to get those on air for you tomorrow. Thursday, we're going to bring in David Lawrence from the Jayhawk Radio Network, former Jayhawk football captain. He'll break down this upcoming season for KU. A little bit of a deeper breakdown now as baseball has come to close. And we'll also have Nick's co-host, as he mentioned, from Kansas City Sports Network, Shreyas Lada, also from the Kansas City Star, join us here in studio on Friday. So a full week for you on Rock Chalk Sports. Before we get out of here, I want to mention NBA Finals Game 3. Actually upset by this because everything that I said yesterday, hopefully you guys bet it. I didn't bet it because I ain't got no funds. 115-111. The Spurs over the Knicks. Spurs covered the +1.5. And also Wemby got to 28 points. In fact, he scored 32. And Devin Vassell, 3 of 4 from 3. So he got there on the 3 threes. But this was something that I predicted. It started good for the Spurs. They were up 11 at the end of the first quarter, and then they were down 7 at the half. A terrible second quarter where the Spurs were -18 on the scoreboard, and then they took the lead, +8 on the scoreboard in the third quarter, and closed it out in a low-scoring fourth to win 115-111. So the Knicks, who I said I thought were undervalued in this series, they took 2 in San Antonio, but I just had a gut feeling the Spurs would get one back at Madison Square. There were all sorts of stars in attendance. You had Spike Lee, you had Ben Stiller, but you also had all sorts of stuff. Elliot and Olivia, I don't know what their names are, but from Law & Order SVU, those two were there. And let's see, you had DJ Khaled, you had Eli Manning and Derek Jeter. The stars were out at Madison Square, likely in support of the New York Knicks, but it was the Spurs, the young guns, who came out on top. Game 4 of this series is going to be tomorrow back at Madison Square as the Spurs look to even the series. They were the favorites heading into this NBA Finals. They trail in the series still 2-1, but they've got a great opportunity to even it out tomorrow, and we'll give a game pick on that one tomorrow. Hopefully it's as successful as the one yesterday. Hey, that's going to do it for Rock Chalk Sports today. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. KU football, KU basketball chatter, and of course we'll get some more KU baseball talk as well with our guests, recapping a fantastic season for Dan Fitzgerald and the guys over at Hoagland Ballpark. For Elijah Schmidt, Sean Kellerman saying, make sure you join us tomorrow. You won't want to miss Henry Greenstein, KU Mailbag, and much more every day here on Rock Chalk Sports, 4 to 6, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. And thanks as well for watching on KansasNation.com.